Oh, please. Oh, wait, hang on. Unsupported GET request.
Mine says meeting now streaming live on Facebook.
Me too.
Let me check my Facebook.
Well, the beginning of the video might be me looking like that.
Yeah, looks like we're live.
All right, Brittany, you're on whenever you're ready then.
All right. Hey, everyone. How are we doing tonight?
Doing great.
Good, good. Okay, so I'm Brittany Frost. I am a realtor with North Texas Top Team Realtors. And tonight we are talking about the state of the real estate market in 2023, especially for home buyers. So while we are waiting for everyone to jump on the live, let me quickly introduce everyone. Tonight, I have the wonderful Miss Melissa Haley with us. Melissa is our awesome broker at North Texas Top Team Realtors.
Hello, Brittany. Happy to be
Hi.
here.
Happy to have you. And then we also have Mr. Thomas Ross. Thomas is a mortgage loan consultant with First United Bank.
Hey everyone, happy to be here.
All right. We also have Gabby Powell here with us tonight.
Hi guys, happy to be here.
She's amazing. We're so glad to have you here, Gabby. Thanks for always keeping us on track. And for those of you just joining in, we are about to start our discussion tonight called Understanding the Current Market. But later tonight, Gabby will be posting a link for you to get some free information, so stick with us. Now, while we're waiting for others to join, let's get to know Thomas a little bit better. So Thomas, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks again for having me on tonight, North Texas Top Team. I love working with you guys. My name's Thomas Ross. I'm a mortgage loan consultant with First United Bank. I grew up here around DFW, and after a brief stint in Arkansas for college, I moved back here. Spent a few years in the corporate consulting world, and then ended up becoming a mortgage lender. Entering year 3 in the industry now, and I got to say, every closing is just as special as my first one. So
Awesome. I love that. Yes. Wow. Year 3. That's fabulous. Congratulations.
thank you.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good that people can get to know you a little bit more before we get started. So you're certainly an expert in the mortgage lending and real estate industry. And I know that we are going to have some great information for our viewers tonight. So thanks again for being with us.
Awesome stuff. We're glad you're here, Thomas. You always bring us a lot of great information. So thanks for joining us. So for everybody who's just now getting logged in, you have really great timing. We are just about to start. And our topic tonight is one that you may have been hearing about in the news or maybe even in your favorite podcast. The topic we're going to do tonight is understanding the current market, the mortgage market. So don't forget, at the end of the night, we're going to provide that link so you can get some free information about understanding the current market. Are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yay, let's do it. There's so much good stuff to talk about. All right. Well, so Brittany, I would love to start off with you if that's okay. Because I know people are wondering, is the real estate market crashing? Like, I think that's just like, if you Google it, there's a lot of answers there and people just don't really know what to believe. So I think everybody's question is now really a good time to buy a house?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like the buzz question for the year right now. So yes, first, let me say the market is not crashing, everyone. So we did go through a correction last summer. So that's kind of what you're hearing. And after a couple of years with a serious housing shortage, the market had a correction around the end of May in 2022. And that was due in large part to the Federal Reserve raising the interest rates in order to slow down inflation. So with that being said, let's talk for a moment about how the market looks today and why it's a good time to buy a house right now.
Okay, well, so why is it a good time to buy a house?
Well, with the market correction, we can clearly show a home buyer how it makes sense to buy a home. So this is through our interest rate offset system. The system allows us an opportunity to really compare the option of buying a home today compared to last year. So for example, last year, a buyer may have been able to get a 3 or 4% interest rate, but they were having to pay tens of thousands of dollars over list price in order to outbid other home buyers. And today we've seen that list prices have normalized and buyers are actually making an offer at or even below the list price while still taking advantage of great financing options. The market shift truly does offset the interest rate because of what we have seen.
I mean, if I was a buyer, I would be like, okay, this sounds good.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that it can be offset a little bit based on what the market was doing before, because the market was kind of crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Sure.
yeah, crazy stuff. But Thomas, I want to know more about what you're seeing on the lending side. So you're working with the buyer, and how are you seeing, is now a good time to buy on the lending side?
Sure, I'd say yes, definitely. Right now, the biggest key is that buyers have leverage in the current market. That means they can negotiate better prices for themselves. They can ask for seller concessions on their contract. These seller concessions could be used to buy down their interest rate or keep extra cash in their pocket, which is always a great choice. So in this market, buyers are just able to be a little bit more aggressive on their offers than what we've seen over the past few years.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, I think in the last 6 months, even what I'm seeing at our office is that our agents are able to get buyers under contract for better sales prices, better terms. We're getting seller paid closing costs, which helps offset some of the, expense of buying, and all of those things are just kind of going on right now where they weren't going on this time last year. This time last year, it was like, make an offer, thousands of dollars above list. Don't ask for anything. Don't ask for repair. Like, don't ask for anything because you're lucky you're getting this house. Today, I think it's a little more like back to normal. Is that a good way to say it? So I don't know. Anyway, with all that being said, so Thomas, let's, knowing that my agents are able to get the closing costs in some cases, and if the seller agreed to pay some of the closing costs, what would you recommend that they do? Should they maybe buy down the rate? Is that one of the things you would recommend, or something else?
Sure. So that's definitely an option. And with my clients, I like to assess every single option that they have, and every situation is different. But a buy down is a great choice to use those seller concessions. Most people are really familiar with a permanent rate buy down. What this means is that at closing, there's extra fees paid, and it reduces the interest rate on that mortgage for the entire length of the loan, 15 years, 30 years, however long your loan is, the interest rate is going to be lower because of that extra fee that was paid by the sellers.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So Thomas, the magic question is, what interest rates today?
Sure. So right now they're between 6 and 7%. They vary a lot, just like the stock market. But yeah, between 6 and 7%, depending on the specific situation or loan that you're using.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day that I saw something that they were actually a little even under 6. Does that sound right?
Yeah, in a certain situation, they can definitely kind of get to that very, very high 5s right now. Definitely better than where we've been the past 6 months. So looking good right now. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. Okay. So just to clarify, when they buy down the rate, you're saying they could even get a lower interest rate for the full 30 years, right? Because that's what you were just talking about.
Right. So that's a permanent rate buy down, and it is for the life of the loan. There is another option called a temporary buy down that they could do. It works by reducing the monthly payment for a shorter period of time by prepaying that interest up front by those seller concessions. You can do it for 1 or 2 years, depending on how we structure it. It doesn't actually change the interest rate on your loan, but it lowers the payment temporarily for those first year or two, depending on how we set it up.
So Thomas, could this be a good option for a buyer who may need just a little bit more help with the payments in the short term? I mean, I know I'm seeing a lot of home builders that are doing something very similar to this. And they're advertising that they will pay for the buy down to allow a buyer access to buy it down now and then possibly refinance it later.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great strategy to use right now with this buyer leverage that we've got.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that the builders are all over it because, for them as a seller, it's better to have that higher price and to make it more affordable for the consumer to get in. So instead of taking like a $5,000 price reduction or $10,000 price reduction, they'd rather spend $5,000 or $10,000 helping them get into a house and keeping their sales price high, right?
Yeah.
So I totally can see that. But aren't there some other options? Because I know you were talking about permanent buy downs, and I know you were talking about temporary buy downs, but what about like an adjustable rate mortgage? Because that has lower interest rate too, right? Or not so much?
Yeah. So it's a good option to look at for the right person. So what Melissa's saying is it's an ARM, or adjustable rate mortgage. There's a few different options: 3, 5, 7-year, even 10-year ARMs. What they mean is those numbers that I was saying, 3, 5, 7, are the years that the interest rate that you get, which is lower than your normal fixed rate. That's how long that it's fixed for on the adjustable loan. So quick example, let's say we did a 7-1 ARM. That means my interest rate is going to be fixed for the first 7 years of that loan. And then after that, every year it can adjust up or down with the market. It's a really good short-term option. I would recommend doing this, with a 5 to 7 year plan, and then planning to refinance before that volatile adjusting period.
So I thought though too, and you can tell me if this is not right, that if somebody got an adjustable rate mortgage and they're lower than the rest of the world, right? And then maybe rates are going up or maybe rates are going down at some point after, I guess, in your example, the first 7 years, won't their payment go up or down based on what the rest of the market is doing?
Right. So when it adjusts, your payment also adjusts at that point. So your interest rate is actually going to move, as opposed to a fixed loan where the payment stays the same for the entire length of the loan. With adjustable, it's just going to stay the same for those first 3, 5, 7 years, depending on the loan that your lender gets you. After that period, it's more than likely going to move every single year, whether it be up or down.
And it's usually every year that it makes an adjustment?
Yeah, it depends on the ARM that you get. Sometimes they're called, they're 6 months ARMs, so they could adjust every 6 months. Otherwise, they're usually a year, and so they'll adjust every year at the end of the year.
Okay, well, I think that's good stuff. So what I'm hearing from talking about all of this stuff is that if there is a home buyer or a potential person that wants to buy a house, right? Because maybe they're not sure if they want to buy right now. And Brittany said it's a great time to buy a house, right, Brittany?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so it's a great time to buy. And then Thomas said, okay, you can get a permanent buy down, you can get a temporary buy down, you might get an adjustable rate mortgage. There's like all of these options that appear to get me as a home buyer a better interest rate than what's out there. So when I'm a home buyer, or maybe I'm not thinking I'm going to be a home buyer because I'm just watching the news and the news is scaring the pants off of me that the interest rates are up and it's just too unaffordable. I can't buy a house. I can't buy a house. It's just, is it really, there's options, Brittany?
Yeah, there are options. And we even have this really cool tool. As a realtor, we have access to this calculator. It's called a rent versus buy. And it's really neat because, and I hear what you're saying, Melissa, I hear the people, they're scared to buy. But what we can do is we can take the information, like what they would pay in a monthly rent, and add in renter's insurance and how much the rent will increase year over year, because that is still happening. And then we can compare it to a comparable purchase price of something that they would ideally qualify for, which Thomas would be more than happy to help them with that. And then we'll calculate, okay, what does their down payment look like? And what does their interest rate look like in today's market? And then are they going to use any points to maybe buy down the rate? And then what are closing costs going to be for the buyer? We'll also add in factors like property taxes and average monthly maintenance and homeowners insurance. And then there's also appreciation. So rents are going to keep going up, and houses, even with the market, houses are still appreciating year over year. And so we'll take all of those things into account, as well as taxes. And then how long do they plan to stay into the property? So this is really good, ideally for, if you're looking to stay in your home for 3 to 5 years, but you're not quite sure, if you're ready to make that plunge to buying, we'll run this calculator with all of those numbers and all of those considerations. And sometimes, surprisingly, people are shocked because they would actually be saving money, even in today's market, by just going ahead and purchasing a home than paying for rent. And so it's really cool to see people's faces when they're like, oh my gosh, I thought the sky was falling. I thought like buying wasn't even an option. But with this really cool calculator, we can give you that confidence of saying, in forecasting, what that actually looks like for the buyers and how it can be a better win-win situation for them.
Yeah, and one thing that I hear a lot from current renters that are hoping to be home buyers is, well, I can afford my payments. I've got a consistent job history. I've been working on my credit. It's in a good spot, but I can't seem to get my down payment saved because I'm paying all this money towards rent. And we do have options for that. You're not going to be stuck just because you can't save for the down payment. There's a couple of different agencies and organizations in Texas where we can get what's called DPA, or down payment assistance, for you, for those people that are having trouble saving up that kind of first little nest egg to put into the house. These are in the forms of grants or forgivable second liens, and they kind of give you that extra push when combined with the seller concessions we were talking about earlier, can get you in a house for very, very little cash out of pocket.
Yeah. And, as we all know, the best price and the best time to buy a home is today. So before prices go up, before interest rates, drop again, and then, everything starts rising again, it's always a good idea to remember that y'all are probably hearing this phrase, but date the rate. And so the principal balance, you can't refinance, but you can refinance that interest rate. And so that's something to keep in mind right now too.
Yeah, so expanding on that for you, Brittany, right now rates may be at 6.5, but with some of these kind of more affordable strategies we're talking about, you can use that temporarily in your new house. And then when rates go down towards the end of the year, we're hoping they'll be kind of in the low fives. Obviously, that's impossible to forecast 100%, but that's where my team currently anticipates it. We can refinance, and since you got the house at a lower price, and then you also end up with a lower interest rate, so it's kind of the best of both worlds to buy right now with one of those strategies, and then refinance later. It's a really good move, and I'm recommending anyone that's kind of teetering on being in the market or not, now is a really good time to take that plunge.
Yeah. But I have this little story that I always use, Thomas. I don't know if you've ever heard me say it, but I'm like, when is the best time to plant a tree? Do you know the answer, Thomas?
Yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, like 10 years ago.
You're
It's
sure?
the best time to plant
Yeah.
a tree, because then today the tree will be, tall, and it'll give you shade, and it'll give you fruit and all the things, right? But when is the second best time to plant a tree?
Right now, today.
Right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so excited you knew my story.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I love that. I love that allegory. So good.
It's the same thing for buying a house.
Mhm.
If I bought a house 10 years ago, do you know how much houses in Plano were 10 years ago? I don't even want to know. They were cheap. Do you know how much houses are today in Plano? Not as cheap. Just saying.
Yep.
Best time to buy was really a long time ago, but the next best time to buy is always right now.
Mhm.
Right now.
Especially in such a strong market that we have here in Texas.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Brittany, what's all the new stuff going on in your part of the world? Oh my gosh. We're getting Universal Studios going up there. We got the PGA thing. I mean, what else is coming up there? Anything that I don't even already know about?
I mean, that's what I'm hearing. PGA, I think, is about ready to start. They're working on the huge Omni Resort right now. That's going to be opening in the spring. Universal Studios is going to be up in Frisco, which is crazy. Yeah, I know. There's a couple of headquarters that are relocating to the Frisco Star. I was reading about that last week. So Frisco is booming. And then, of course, they're expanding the tollway up north. And so it's just going to keep going to Oklahoma. So here we go.
Yeah, so much for separation between Dallas and Oklahoma. It's just going to be one big long.
Yep.
massive suburban real estate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They're working on the roads in Prosper and Salina right now. And I was out there driving the other day and it's just crazy how much it's expanding and taking off. So houses are coming, people are coming. So it's a great time to buy for sure.
Yeah. And if they buy in those areas where it's up and coming, aren't they always a little bit less expensive than buying like in
Yes.
town where it's more established already?
Yes, it is. It is. And sometimes, Thomas might even, this is a little off script, but sometimes there's more programs too if they're for being pre-approved if you're kind of out in the outskirts. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, depending on the program, it could be considered a targeted area that
Mhm.
the government's kind of trying to push some funds towards, or even if it's rural enough, we can look at a USDA loan, which is 0% down payment. So that's
Yeah.
always fun. I like those 0% down loans.
Well, especially
Yes.
because a minute ago you were like, look, if you can get the rate and we can buy
Mhm.
it down, but you were worried about your down payment, USDA, there you go.
There you
Yeah.
go, right there.
Yeah. It is
So many
possible to buy a house today.
Oh,
Yes,
sure.
there's so
It
many
definitely is.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
Mhm.
let the news media lie to us. Oh my gosh. Good time to buy today, right now.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Well, thank you so much, Thomas and Melissa. I have enjoyed chatting with both of you, and I hope that our viewers got some really great information tonight as well.
Yeah, awesome. Always a pleasure with you guys at North Texas Top Team. You're definitely experts in your field. So pleasure being here.
Thank you. Of course. I always love talking to real estate agents and lenders and vendors about what's going on and what's happening in the market right now. So right now, I know the market can be very overwhelming, which is why people need a realtor. They need a good team on their side to help them through the process, regardless if you're looking to buy or sell. So now let me check to see, do we have any questions from any of the folks on Facebook Live tonight? Gabby, are there any questions coming in?
Hey guys, I'm not seeing any questions right now, but you guys are doing a great job of providing information for everybody tonight. So thanks for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And a huge thank you to Thomas again. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening tonight to share your expertise with everyone. And we really appreciate it.
Of course, no problem.
Yeah. So everyone, if you want more information about the real estate market, don't forget to check the chat for the link where you can sign up to get our free report, Understanding the Current Market in 2023. And if you do want more information about the home buying or selling process or any other real estate market data in North Texas, make sure to follow us on social media, check us out online, or give our office a call. Our team of experts are here to help you with all things real estate. And thanks again, everyone. We hope you have a great night. And of course, if you have any lending questions, we have Thomas as well. So we can give you his information and make sure to get those questions answered too.
bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you guys.
Bye. Thank
Thanks for having me
you.
again.